everyone, welcome back. So in this third part of the Fantine Expenses Tracker web application, I'm going to be showing the code. In this code or this application, this project, I have used Java as a backend. We start with the backend, Java, Spring Boot, and then what I have used as a pattern, I've used MVC. MVC means model, view, controller. So how does it work? When the user sends the request, let's say I want to get the expense or I want to get a user. When you send that request, the controller will receive that request. And then when there is a very main controller, it will search which URL it has to go to check. And then when it gets to that URL, it's going to contact the model. The model is going to contact the database. Database send back the data to the controller, and then the controller send the response to the view. So that's how it works. Let me share my screen. I will start with the backend here. And as I said, the backend I use IntelliJ. I think in the presentation I made, I have mispronounced it, or I have written it IntelliJ. It's not IntelliJ, it's IntelliJ. IDE. IDE is like, as I said, integration, development, environment. This is the software we use to write the code. So as I said, we are using Java, and the pattern we are using is MVC. So here with MVC, there is model, but here we didn't say model, it's entity, controller, MVC, and then the view. The view here, we are not using view because we are sending to our UI part, we'll be able to show that view to the end user. All right, let's start with the entity. Here I have three entities: category, expense, and user. So let's check the user. Okay, so let's start from here. These are the metadata we use for this Spring Boot to tell the Spring Boot, hey, if you see a class with this name, please make it create the data on the setter. And then here it will be an entity, which will be a table. So the name with the class is user. This user entity will be created in our database. As I said, our database, we use Postgres. How is it going to know which database to store this? I don't think I will be able to share the database because there are information there which may be very sensitive. But here we have this application property. Again, this is where you do the configuration for database name, the table configuration, the password of the database, but I cannot show it. I can show it and then mask it, but I don't have time to go and then edit this video. So yeah, this is where you configure your database configuration. So this is how it looks like, this class. All this is for the database. So the generated value, this will be the strategy to generate the primary key. Instead of us to put the primary key manually, it will be auto-generated. And then the column name in the database will be username for this one. We are saying it cannot be blank. Even the password cannot be blank. It has a relationship with the list, the expenses. So a user will have a list of expenses, and then it will be one to many. So one user can have many expenses. This is the relationship between user and expenses. This will be generated in database. So this is done with GPA. or hybrid. Yeah, so this is the entity part. Let's go to the service. In the service, we have the interface. That's where we communicate with the database. So let's say for user, we can get the user, or we can save the user. We can get the user, the list of user, and then we can find the user by ID. And so this is just the interface. In the interface, we don't implement it. So if you see here is interface, but when we go to the class, uh, user interface, we have to implement that interface here. Here, this is the implementation of user, and then we have to implement this interface. When you implement interface, you have to implement all the all the methods that have been declared in this interface. So like here, find user by username. Here we use a user entity, and then we are going to retrieve the user by username. But here we are doing what is called model mapper. We want to return a user DTO. So what is the difference between user DTO and user entity? The difference is that the user DTO is what can be transferred between on internet, or yeah, via internet or network. So it means the data transfer object. When we want to transfer object between two entities, let's say for here we're in the back end, but this back end will be communicating with the front end. So that communication, we have to make this object transferable. That's why we have to convert the user entity that we saw in a user DTO, which is this one, which can be transferable very easily. All right. This is the part of service which we communicate with our database, and we will use this service in our controller. So remember when I said we have to um, send an endpoint where we need exactly. So in this controller, so this cross origin is like, because we have two platform or two entities, we have a backend and then we have front end. In order to communicate together, we need to put this cross origin. We are telling this application, hey, whenever you get a request from this application, and this application, remember, this is our URL in browser. That's where we send the request to this backend. We're saying when you get this, normally it gets blocked because we don't know this URL. But because we have put it here, we're saying, hey, whenever request coming from this this source, accept it, don't block it. So this is the URL for the users. So when we want to get the user, we have to add /ID to get the user by ID, to delete the user, to update. So this is the endpoint to be able to manipulate the user. So it's the same thing. We have also controller for expenses. We can get expenses by user, by date range, category, all those stuff. Also, we have configuration over here. This is the security configuration. We have to configure also the course. This course also is the same. Sometimes we block those, and then yeah, this is the configuration. I will not go through all these things. So this is how the application look like in back end. So let me share the front end real quick. So then we will be done. This video is coming very long. So this is the front end. Oh man, I think this video is becoming very long. But here, this is where I put the page. You remember we have the button add expenses. We have analytics chart where it's a bar. We have P chart, PIE chart. We have sign up page, login page, we have dashboard page. Here is the services where we call our endpoint. We have to call this API. We call them API, but endpoints here, the types. This is TypeScript. As I said, I use TypeScript. And then also this is a VS Code. I use VS Code, even though it's showing code. So category expenses. Yeah. Yeah, I will not go through. This is enough for, yes. So the assets, the icon you can see is in the SVG. This is the icon you see. Yeah, so I don't think I will go through in details in everything because this video will be very long. But yeah, this is it. I'll show you the front end and back end in the code. Uh, yeah, that's it. All right. Hope to see you back again in few. If not, Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Um, Let me try to stop sharing. No. How do I stop sharing? Stop share. All right. See you next time. Bye bye.